What's going on, everybody? Mark Veer back again with the ref report. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the last video in regards to jump ball. I had a lot of people hit me up, and I've already seen some improvements. And that is the main purpose of the ref report YouTube channel, is to do positive and some negative and some improvements that we need to make. And we continue to get better. I mean, it's a super simple message. This one's going to be going into our new series of atypical plays. Probably going to do a part 3, just doing one clip each time. And then, yeah, unfortunately, these happen a lot. And we don't like to have atypical plays. We never want fights. We never want, layered plays, things out of the ordinary. But unfortunately, they do happen. And we need to know how to adjudicate them and get out of them correctly using our rule knowledge. So what I'll do here is I will show it live with the sound on. Hopefully it doesn't glitch. And then we'll always go back and we'll do it slow-mo. Okay? All right, so let's go back and kind of dive into this. Notice the score. White is down by 13 points with 56 seconds to go. We're under a minute. Sometimes things just pop off, right? This has been a physical game, but, people always say, well, things lead up to this. Not always. Sometimes in our ball games, kids just very emotional. For whatever reason, they decide to act like this, and it's unfortunate. So I'll go slow-mo on this play. Now, I'm sure White does not like the fact that Red is not going to dribble the ball out, right? They're up 13, and here we go. We got a breakaway layup, and this kid is in flight, extremely vulnerable, and we have a two-hand shove, and he goes into the pad, okay? Now, got to use our rule knowledge here, right? Right away, we've got to be thinking disqualification. Like, that's got to be number one. Just the way that how severe the contact is, it's a violent act, and then the outcome. The kid, lucky a pad is there, right? If not, we've got some serious injury. Even with the pad there, we've got, very, very high percentage this kid is not going to be able to return, right? Gets thrown into the wall. So that's number one, right? But let's kind of dive into this a little bit, right? Lee does do a good job coming and signaling. We're good with that. This definitely needs an intentional foul signal, because that's going to be the bare minimum that we go with. Then we can talk about potential upgrades, right? I have on the next slide things that we need to do. We need a pregame fights. Nobody wants to do it, because I can tell you, every time you talk about a pregame, you're like, oh, you're bringing stuff into our game. Understood, right? Typically, when we talk about things in pregame, they happen into the game. You kind of bring it into existence, but we need to talk about them, especially when you have, these type of teams. This is, here in San Antonio, this is Sam Houston, Harlandale, somewhat of a rivalry, but I still think we need to talk about them all the time. And then if they do happen, what do we need to do? So we'll keep this super simple, right? And I have it on the next slide. Definitely take a screenshot. Is the calling referee needs to go to the player that's being hurt. The player that is in the air, we need to get him, because that is, our concern. That kid is not injured. We need to understand what's going on with him. Does he have a potential injury, ankle, knee, blood, anything popped out of socket, like something like that? We need to attend to that kid immediately, because if there is something of that magnitude, the injury is that high, then we need to get a doctor to them immediately, right? Safety's number one. So the calling referee does do a good job of having the intentional signal, but we need to run to that player. I think he's number 3. I'm not sure. We need to go to him, make sure he's safe, and get everybody back. Just go over the kid and then crack your whistle, get everybody away. That was number 1. The center referee needs to go to the problem player, which I think is 3. I'm sorry. I've got the numbers on the next slide. My bad. So the lead referee goes to the injured player. The center referee needs to run in and take care of the kid that threw him to the wall. Because what's going to happen is, if we don't, what is the teammates going to do? Right? Yes, White number 3, right? No, number 3 throws him to the wall. Nobody from Red is going to, be okay with that. Here comes 24. 24 is like, oh, no, I'm gonna take care of my teammate, right? So We need to get to those two players as fast as we can. Now, you're here a lot. Don't touch players. Don't get between players. If fair, that's fair. If there's an opportunity for us to get in before any of this happens, we need to do that. So Lee does do a nice job of getting in there quick, and here comes center. We just got to be purposeful with where we go and who we identify. So Lee needs to take care of the kid that's injured, and then we need to find number 3. That's our problem. C24 goes up. Here we go. So we know there's going to be something after that. So those are our 2 triggers. The kid that is injured, calling referee. The center needs to run in and take care of the problematic player. Here's where we typically go wrong, is the referee, which is trail, the furthest from the play, does not need to get involved. They need to stand back, get big picture view. They can come stand right over here on the sideline and need to take care of benches. Because when this is all said and done, we've got to then get kids to benches, have a conference call, and discuss how we're going to resume play. We need to understand, obviously, we know obviously the big play is the kid getting thrown into the wall. So are we going intentional foul? Are we going disqualifying foul? That's the discussion we're going to have. Then we got to talk about, do we have anything after that? Do we have technical fouls with these players? And then do we have any bench technical for kids coming off the floor? As you can see, trail runs in. We have no picture view, no idea what's going on with the benches. And I'll dive into how this crew actually adjudicated this play, right? See how all 3 referees are in the paint, no big picture view, and then we've got coaches coming on, parents coming on. We don't know what kids are coming on. So I get it. It's not easy. Like, don't get me wrong. When these things happen in a game, everything kind of, our training goes out the window and our anxiety gets very high, and then we just start running in. We just got to be a little more smarter and then talk to ourselves, like self-talk, like, oh, I'm the furthest from the play. I need to step back and just take care of benches, let my 2 partners take care of anything else that's in there. So take a screenshot of this. I'll go through this pretty quickly, right? But so atypical plays, fights, high emotion situations, that could be like a potential. We have a block charge play. We have an M1. We have a hard foul. We have taunting after, things like that, whatever, right? High emotion plays, we have those all the time. We got to pregame them, all right? So here, when we have hard fouls like this, the calling official must immediately get involved. And they do. They do a decent job of getting in there, but they just got to be a little more purposeful and go after the player they need to go to, right? So I said Lee does a good job of signaling intentional foul, but they just run into the paint. Let's go be intentional what we do and go find that player, right? Number 3 is our problematic player. That's the one that did the hard foul. Setting the referee needs to get to that kid immediately. Because we don't know what's going to happen. Either players are going to come after him or he's going to start going after the kid, whatever. He's our problem player. Also, when we go to him, we know that number 3 is going to be who we're going to possibly give an intentional foul or eject. So if we go to that player, then when we do have a conference, we know it's number 3, right? And then the trail official opposite the benches should focus solely on the benches. Watch closely for players leaving the bench. Take mental notes. Be prepared to report that information clearly during the crew conference, because we're going to have a conference call at one point, right? Again, screenshot it. Don't want to go through it too much on that, okay? The next one is all right, now, so how we got to adjudicate this, right? How do we adjudicate it? This is the adjudication. Unfortunately, this crew does not do it right, but this is a disqualifying foul. This meets the criteria. This is not an intentional foul. This has gone way above and beyond. Number 3 needs to be disqualified. That is an ejection, all right? So in that situation, that is where we start, because in high school, we go in the order. That's number 1. So the shooter needs to shoot those shots, right? But if he's unable to, then we're going to, because it's a foul at the rim, and we're going to DQ that player. And then if they can't, the substitute needs to come in and shoot those 2 free throws. That's nobody on the lane line. We have 4 players from red come onto the floor, and they do not participate. So that's just going to be 1 technical foul, team technical foul, bench technical, and it goes indirect to the coach. We're just shooting 1 technical foul, and that would be the white team would shoot 2 shots down the other end. Anybody can shoot it, and that's the last thing that happened. They're going to get the ball back at the division line. That's how we need to adjudicate this play. Now, I do want to talk about bench technicals, kids that come off the bench who participate and do not participate. This is something you got to pregame. If nobody participates or those kids don't participate, that's just going to be 1 team technical, no matter. Okay, if there's 8 kids that come off the bench and they don't do anything, they're all going to be disqualified. They need to go to the locker room with an assistant coach, but that's going to be 1. The difference is when you have multiple, you may have 4 kids come off the bench that do not participate, but you may have 2 players that come off and get in the scuffle to have a fight. Those two are going to be separate. Those 4 that did not participate, one team technical, those 4 are gone. The 2 kids that came off, those are separate. Those are both going to be technical fouls each, and they're going to be gone. Now we got 6 free throws. 1 for the 4 that come off and didn't participate, and then the 2. Well, those are going to be 2 directs and indirects to the coach. The coach is now gone, right? So that's why it matters, where you got to kind of go through this and understand. The biggest thing when we talk about fights and kids coming off the bench is, do they participate or do they do not? Get in your rule book and you can understand that, but they need to be pre-gamed. Unfortunately, this crew, because we kind of ran in there, didn't really do our work, kind of slow down and figure out what we're going to do. We just had an intentional foul. We went an intentional foul on white 3. They had 2 shots and the ball back, which is, I'm not mad that they went that way because, of course, white don't get to shoot free throws and all that stuff. But by rule, we actually didn't do it right. I just wish they DQ'd the kid. That number 3 player needs to be disqualified for that act. If you look at intentional fouls and you look at disqualifying fouls, it's a severe is it. Severe is not unintentional. It's going to be hard, unnecessary, excessive. We're talking about a violent act and severe. That fits the criteria for a severe and violent act. That's what is going to be on our checklist to make sure that we go to a disqualifying foul. The last thing I want to say is a side note. If this happens in your ball game, you need to call your assigner in the locker room. This crew did not do that. You need to get in the locker room on a conference call. We are calling our assignment director and explaining exactly what happened. Even if you didn't eject the kid, if you have a intentional foul and whatever you may have, this is a situation that your assigner needs to know about, okay? So make sure that you do that. Get on the phone, have a conference call, and this definitely needs to be put into a report after your game. This is part 1 of this. Part 2, we'll have another situation. And then I think on part 3, we'll find something where the crew does a good job, right? These are tough, but we need to talk about them. You never want them in your ball game. But when we do, we need to slow down, communicate, get kids to benches, conference call, work through the order, and then hopefully you can adjudicate it correctly. Hopefully that helps you guys. Again, appreciate all the support. Love the comments. Again, we're just trying to get better, improve. Here's my email if you have any questions. I've got 26 topics on my list. Keep them coming. It's going to be a busy finish out the season. And when we dive into the off season, we'll continue to do this series. Again, I appreciate you all. You guys know the drill. Let's get better together, y'all. Let's get better together, y'all. There we go.